I'm Charlotte Newland, and this month I'm going to show you how to make a fully lined drawstring bag, perfect for using for a project bag or anything at all. Here's what you need to make your drawstring bag. Two 12.5-inch squares, one for the front and one for the back of the bag. Two 12.5-inch squares of plain fabric for the lining. You can use something nice here as well if you want to, but it's not really going to be seen, so I'm just using plain white. Two pieces that are 11.5 by 2 inches for the channels for the drawstring, and two 30-inch lengths of ribbon. First we're going to make the channels for the drawstring. I'm going to fold and press the short ends of each of these pieces to the wrong side by about 1/4 inch and then stitch that down. Once I've sewn it down, I'm going to then press the strips right sides together so that we've got nice finished ends and they're all tidy. So the casings for the drawstrings are ready now. You can see I've stitched down that fold and I've just pressed them in half. What we do next is we get one piece of the outer of the bag and one piece of lining, and we're going to sandwich the drawstring casing in between them. So I'm going to centre my drawstring casing along this edge here and place a piece of lining on top, right sides together with the outer of the bag. Put a couple of pins in to hold it in place. And then I'm going to sew along this edge here with a 1/4 inch seam. I'm going to repeat that with my other piece of outer lining and drawstring casing, lining up the raw edges of the casing with the raw edge of the outer, put the lining on top, pin it in place, and then stitch down that long edge with a 1/4 inch seam. Now I've done both of these, I'm going to open them up. You can see I've got a piece of the front of the bag and for the lining, and here is my casing sandwiched in between the two. And I'm just going to put these two together, right sides together, so the two outers are facing each other and the two pieces of lining are facing each other. Now I want to sew all the way around this edge, making sure that I leave a gap here for turning. So just as a reminder to myself, I'm going to put a set of 2 pins where I want to stop stitching so that I don't accidentally forget to leave a gap. I'll pin all the way around with single pins, but here I'm going to put double pins just as a reminder, and then I'll leave that bit open so I can turn this through later. So now I've sewn all the way around the edge, leaving a gap here, and I'm going to turn the bag inside out through this gap. I'm going to give the corners of the outer bag a good poke with my fingers. You don't need to worry about the lining because that's going to be inside out anyway. It's just the outer that you need to worry about, the corners. And now I'm going to stitch this opening in the lining closed using my machine, about 1/8 inch away from the edge. You can just pin that together and stitch it quickly. So once you've sewn that together, you can just push the lining inside the bag. And take it over to your ironing board and give it a really nice press so that everything's lying nice and flat. So this is all nice and pressed now, and what I'm going to do is top stitch all the way around the open end of the bag just to hold all the layers in place so that nothing shifts when it's being used. So to top stitch the bag, I've lengthened my stitch length to 3, and I've taken the free arm off my machine so that I can fit the bag over the end of it. And I'm just going to stitch all the way around the top edge of the bag through all the layers, about 1/8 inch away from the top. And that's just going to make sure that all the pieces, all the layers are held in place nicely and the lining doesn't start peeking out when you're using the bag. So the final step is just to add your drawstrings. I'm using coordinating ribbon and I'm using a safety pin to thread through. So I'm going from left to right in the front drawstring channel. And then from right to left through the back channel. I'm going to tie those two ends together so I don't lose my ribbons. Then with your other piece of ribbon, you do the opposite. So you go right to left in the front channel. And then left to right through the back one. And again, just tie that into a knot. Lost my end. There we go. So then you can just pull on your ribbons and that will close your drawstring bag. I hope you found that really enjoyable. I love making these bags. They're really quick and easy and you can use them to wrap presents in an eco-friendly way.